Hi friends, my name is Chelsea. Welcome to Little Mountain Ranch and welcome to our third garden tour of 2025. It is my goal to share a garden tour with you every week for the entire gardening season, from the first seed that we plant in the ground until harvest in the fall. I love to garden. It is something that I am passionate about, but something that I love to do almost as much as garden is preserve the food that I grow in my garden. I preserve it in a variety of ways. I love to can. I have an extensive canning pantry. I have a root cellar. I like to freeze dry and dehydrate and ferment, all of those things. And it is so fun to share that with you here on my channel. And today marks a pretty awesome and exciting day in the garden because we are starting to grow something that we are actually going to be able to preserve. We'll probably be doing some canning with what I'm about to show you in the next probably 2 weeks or so. And I'm very excited about that because it will mark the first official preserving from the garden for 2025. We're starting here in my greenhouse because this is the place where most of the magic happens this time of year in our short growing season. We aren't able to plant out until the beginning of June, so my plants get babied in this nursery before they start being put outside to harden off in a couple of weeks. I'll take you through the whole process of hardening off seedlings. Basically what that means is to make these more delicate seedlings, because they've been in the protected environment of my greenhouse, protected from strong UV rays, from wind, from fluctuating temperatures, all of that. We're going to make them a little bit tougher by bringing them outside over around a 10-day period and exposing them more and more each day to those elements until they have fully developed some protections against both the strong UV rays and the wind. But until then, they get to be in here where they get to be loved and nurtured by me, and I love it. I love this time of gardening season where I'm finished potting everything up. That means taking things from smaller pots and putting them into larger pots. I'm pretty much done that at this point. And I get to just enjoy being in here and smelling the amazing smell of being in a greenhouse. I just love it so much. I should say that my tomatoes and my peppers will be going out into my high tunnel because we live in such a short growing season with really cool evening temperatures, even in the middle of summer. In order to grow any kind of significant crop of tomatoes or peppers, they do need that extra protection of being in the high tunnel. So the tomatoes won't have to be hardened off, thank goodness, because there's a lot of them, and the peppers as well. The process of hardening off, bringing the plants outside and back inside and outside and back inside for 10 days can be a little bit tedious. So I'm grateful not to have to do that with these tomatoes. I don't think I have a lot new to show you here in the greenhouse. There are a few scragglers left. I have some of these little guys here. My dwarf marigolds, I'm letting this one flower because I need to see a flower. But these little marigolds, I have about 15 of them left that I need to get potted up. And then a couple of other flowers. I have some cornflowers I need to do and a few others. But for the most part, I do have all the potting up done. Actually, I'm a liar. I don't. I have 2 trays of tomato seedlings here. This little one is actually a dwarf tomato, and you can see it is flowering, so I'm going to need to get that into something. Most of these tomatoes that I have that are in the soil blocks, that's what this is here, back here I'm giving away, and they are doing quite well in the soil blocks, not being potted up into a larger container, which is actually quite surprising. Let me show you some of these tomatoes here. Look at these tomatoes. They're actually looking extremely healthy considering they have been in these tiny little soil blocks since I started them back around the 20th, I think, of March is when I started most of my tomatoes. I'm actually quite impressed with this. So they don't really look that much different than the tomatoes that I have potted up into my paper pots, and I have never had tomatoes in soil blocks do quite this well before, so I have no idea what's going on there. But this is what I would expect tomato seedlings that have been sitting in soil blocks for way too long to look like. You can just see they don't look incredibly happy. These are Amish paste tomatoes, and I do find that in comparison to other varieties of tomatoes, Amish paste tomatoes tend to look a little less, I don't know, lively than some other varieties of tomatoes because they tend to have a bit of a thinner stalk. They also have more space between their leaves than some other tomato varieties do, and the color tends to be a little bit lighter than some of the other tomato varieties, regardless of whether they're in a soil block or not. But these ones are looking pretty worse for wear. I have probably 50 spare Amish paste tomato plants that my intention is to give away, but I need to get on that because these are not going to survive that much longer in these soil blocks. I have a few more of the dwarf tomatoes. These are dwarf, or actually these ones are a micro dwarf, the micro dwarf tomatoes that I need to put into some containers too. But outside of that, I'm pretty well done in here, which feels really good. I am excited and really happy with the way all my seedlings are looking this year. One of the things that I have done over the years since starting my own seedlings is to try to come up with the very best date to start them. And the truth is, because every year is a little bit different, sometimes we'll have a really cold, wet spring. Sometimes we'll have a really warm, sunny spring. So one year I was able to have tomatoes at the beginning of June, I think, because I was able to start them so early and it was warm and all of that. But I'm kind of trying to find the sweet spot. And I think this year I might have found it. Now, I won't know that for sure until I get everything in the ground and see when things mature throughout the season. But my seedlings are looking healthier this year than this time of year than they have ever looked in the past. None of them are really struggling. I'm not having to limp them along. I've actually only had to give 1 dose of fertilizer this entire season so far. I probably will have to give them a little bit of fish fertilizer, which is what I use on my seedlings, maybe in about a week or so, just to get them through until that planting date. But yeah, they're just looking so much better. Here, I'll show you an example. Here is an example of some broccoli seedlings, and they're just looking awesome. I have a fan that's blowing in here. I just have it turned off while we're in here. My goodness, it's hot. But just to keep the air moving so that the plants have a bit of a stronger stem. And you can definitely see that with these. They have a nice strong stem and the leaves just look super healthy. And I'm going to be able to leave them in these containers until they go out into the garden. I'm not going to have to pot them up, which I normally have to do. Oh, there's a weed in there, which I normally have to do with my brassicas. And even some of the plants that I have, where would an example be? Here we go. We have pak choi here. We have China Gold cabbages over here. Golden acre cabbages. We have top bunch collards right here. And this does not have a marker on it, but these guys look like cabbage. So these cabbages here, I could probably thin these out because there's 2 or 3 little cabbages in each one of these, and they are looking like they're struggling a little bit, but I'll just pop out all the extra ones here and give these a little dose of fertilizer, and I should be able to leave them in the soil blocks until they go out into the garden, which is just fantastic. My onions are also looking really good for this time of year. These kind of little dying pieces or little brown pieces, this is totally normal, so that's not an indicator that there's any problem or anything. But what I am looking for with these is that these are nice and healthy. They're starting to fatten out a little bit. We've got even a little tiny bit of bulb development down there. And they are, yeah, they're just looking fantastic. So very, very happy with that. I did plant these or seed these very heavily. Generally, I try to keep it around 20 seedlings or 20 seeds or so in each tray. But I got a little more exuberant this year and I probably have 30 or so in here, but that's okay. More onions are good since last year I didn't grow enough onions, so I definitely overseeded this year so that I could have enough onions to make it all the way through the year. I think that's it. Oh no, actually I have a couple of other things to show you. So remember the other day how I started all of those bulbs, and I'm happy to say that they are coming up beautifully. These guys here are probably my favorite. So these are Hostas, all different kinds of Hostas. Look at that one there. I just love them. They look gorgeous. And the hosta bed is almost complete, but my dog, Oakley, has taken to sleeping in it. So I actually had to order some fencing to put around it, some of that little garden fencing. And once that comes, I'm gonna start hardening off these hostas and get them out into the garden. I'm very excited about that. We have some peonies here coming up. We have our, what one was this? Mystic Gem Clematis coming up there. This clematis and this one here, oh, there's a weed, have not come up yet and aren't showing any signs of life. So I am hopeful there's still life down there in the root, but I at least got one. We have tons of gorgeous dahlias coming up over there. So exciting. We've got another little one coming up there, one coming up there. Oh, I didn't notice these ones. Look, we've got one there and lots of little weeds. This is just some soil I took out of the garden, out of actually a pot that was out in the garden from last year, because I ran out of potting soil, and there's lots of little weed seeds in there that I need to pull out. Super excited about this. These are the gladiolas, and I don't think I planted these with you guys actually. I just did these a couple days ago and they're already coming up, and this is super exciting because I was worried that these had dried out too much, but they hadn't, and that is just so thrilling. Look at how healthy these little dwarf marigolds are looking under here. So excited to set up my green stalks. I am so bummed because Greenstock contacted me today, letting me know that my green stalks, which I had ordered, were being sent back to them. And we have no idea why, because I wasn't contacted. So we're hoping to stop them and get them to turn them around and bring them back, because I have big dreams for those green stalks and I really want them. So hopefully we'll get them. Okay, I think that's everything new that I had to show you in here. So now let's head outside. I'm going to show you the most exciting thing. Look at this, my friends. What do you see here? Let's pick this one. Oh, I broke it off a little bit too high, but that's okay. You want to wait until they're a little bit longer than that one, but I wanted to pick the first one here with you and taste it. So this is the very first asparagus that I have had from this year. Oh my gosh. This is my asparagus patch right here, and if you missed it, I shared in my last video, and I think I shared this last summer too. I actually covered this whole entire area with weed barrier like this because I had such an infestation of grass and it had pretty much choked out all of the asparagus. So I decided I would just cover it, and come what may, if none of it came up this year, then I would till up the ground and plant something else here. However, it's coming back. So much of it is coming back. So I have not decided, quite honestly, what I'm going to do with this or not, because I know that the grass is just going to come back. You can already see it starting to come back over there. So I'm thinking about just letting this grow this year, and develop the fronds, because it does need to develop those fronds to feed the crowns and start getting all the sugars and everything down in the crowns to get them through the winter. So let them do that, whack it down, and then dig up the crowns and transplant them somewhere else. Somewhere that is grass free. I'm thinking a raised bed or something like that for my asparagus, just so that it's easier to manage the grass. So that's kind of what I'm leaning towards at this point, but for now we're just going to enjoy having asparagus. I'm very excited because 2 years ago I pickled enough asparagus to last me for 2 years, and I have, I think, maybe 2 jars left and down in my pantry, and it is something that I absolutely love. So I'm hoping I get enough asparagus out of here to replenish my stock. As far as getting all the beds done, the last bed is done here that needed to be amended. All the rest of the beds have their fresh compost. Well, it's not fresh compost, it's very well aged compost, top dressed on them. So now basically the way that I handle my beds at this point is I just leave them alone. I water my garden to just allow whatever weeds are in the soil that are going to start germinating to come up, and then I use my stirrup hoe. That's what this is, and I go along. This isn't all the weeds aren't up here yet because I haven't put the sprinkler on here yet, but once I do, the weeds will come up, and then I just go over the top of the soil like this and deal with all of the weed seeds that are coming up from the top couple inches of soil. Also take out any perennial weeds or roots It might be in the bed. And then it is ready for planting. So it's just a waiting game now at this point. I did plant a couple of days ago some parsnips, some spinach, and some poppies in this row right here, because those are things that can handle a little bit of frost. So this bed is now officially planted. I wanted to address something that you guys pointed out. So over in the forest garden, I have about 500,000 parsnips coming up. Let me show you. See all these parsnips here? So these have seeded from 4 years ago, if you can believe it. I let one parsnip plant go to seed here, and this seed that is in this area just keeps coming back. Oh, there's a thistle there. Got to get that out. Several of you asked, which was a very reasonable question, why am I planting parsnips in my garden if I have all of these parsnips growing here in my forest garden? And there is a lot of them. I don't know if you can see how many are down there, but a lot. I keep this area mowed in the summertime. So I actually just weed whack these right down to the ground rather than letting them grow. I suppose I could, but the soil isn't nice and loose here, and I probably wouldn't get really nice parsnip roots anyway, even if I let them grow here. But also I just like to keep the forest garden nice and tidy, and it would just look like a jungle if I let these go. So these are getting whacked down. The ones that are in the garden in the nice loose soil will be the ones that grow, and those will be the ones that we harvest and put into our root cellar, which is right over there, in the fall. We have some exciting things growing out here in the forest garden though. We have rhubarb, which means we're going to be making a whole bunch of rhubarb recipes soon. I am so excited about that. We have beautiful comfrey starting to come up underneath all my fruit trees. Look at this, my friends. Does anybody know what this is? This is called a honeyberry or a haskap. So they are the earliest berries to grow here. As you can see, they're flowering already in our northern garden, and they are absolutely delicious. I have lots of videos from last year where I made some sun jam with these and some other fun things. These are one of our favorite berries. We absolutely love them. I'm hoping this year, when I go to the nursery, if they have them in stock, I want to buy quite a few of them. I did plant 3 new ones last year, but I want to plant way more. I was super sad to see that this honeyberry here, actually half of the plant died. Can you see over here how there's no life left in this half? So I'm going to come and prune this all back here. And I am happy to see there is still some life left. But yeah, that was kind of sad. Look at this rhubarb. This is so exciting. I love when spring comes here. It just comes overnight. All of a sudden there is so much life everywhere. I have some peonies coming up. And several of you mentioned that the peonies that I have in the greenhouse, I could have just started those outside and put them right into the ground. And I could have. And on that note, I'm just gonna go pull them out of the greenhouse so that they can just be growing outside, so that I don't have to worry about hardening those off. But on the way, I'll show you something else. See all these guys here? These are delphiniums. We have a log house and it is in desperate need of being refinished. So we actually have log refinishers that are coming to do that job in the next few weeks. I'm going to take you up to the house and show you my plans for the gardens around the house. But what I've had to do this year is go pull all my plants out from the gardens around the house because they're just going to get trampled during this project, and the delphiniums were one of the things that we had to pull out. But let's grab this here. You know, I could probably do the same thing with the clematis, but maybe we'll just hang on and give the clematis a little bit more time in the greenhouse. The reason I say that is because my clematis up by the house is actually starting to come up. But this one, let's take this and put it outside. There's probably a few other things I can start hardening off too. The strawberries being one of them. I have all my strawberries here in my green stalks. Could definitely go outside because they can handle a little bit of frost. So maybe I'll start the hardening off process with those guys tomorrow. You know, all that mint that I pulled out of that flower garden or the raised bed in front of my greenhouse? Several of you mentioned that I should burn it. And I thought that was a really good idea. So I actually stacked it all up here with a bunch of other stuff that I needed to burn. And I burnt it. I am going to rake this all into a pile and add some more stuff to it and burn it again, just to make sure that we've actually killed all the mint that was in there. I do have mint in other places, by the way, for those of you that were concerned about the fact that I was getting rid of all my mint. I don't have all my mint gone, just the stuff that was up in a place that it wasn't supposed to be. This is our house here. So as you can see, it's a log house. And you can probably also see that the logs are in desperate need of being refinished. And Dan and I seriously considered doing the project ourselves. And I got the sander out the other day just to kind of play around to see how much time it would take. And this tiny little patch right here took me probably 20 minutes just to do this little patch. So we did look at renting a sandblaster, and we actually weren't able to find a sandblaster that you could rent in our area anywhere. So we contacted some log home refinishers, and they're going to be able to come and do this for us within the next probably 4 weeks or so, which is really, really exciting. We did get the roof done a couple of years ago. It was also in terrible shape, so it's going to feel really good to have the outside of this done. We're also going to be putting some new windows in. I'm not sure if we're going to do all of those windows. We've been slowly replacing the windows over the years. But we'll probably do these 3 windows here and put some new trim on. But I'm really, really excited about that. What I wasn't excited about was having to dig out my flower beds around the entire house. So as you can see, the soil has been dug down about a foot underneath where it will be when we're finished, but we have to repaint the bottom, the concrete there. And then of course with their machines and the sandblasting and all that kind of stuff, the beds would have just been ruined anyway. So we took them all out over on this side too. Over on this side as well, I've taken the bed out there. However, there was one tulip that was just about to open up, and I had to leave that one just so that I can enjoy the flower before I dig the bulb out. I also have a clematis here that I need to get in here and dig out and put into a pot until I can put it back. So along here is where I took all the delphiniums out, and I really wanted to save them, because those delphiniums I actually started from seed myself about 4 years ago now, and they're beautiful. So I'm happy that they pulled out of the ground easily, got into the pots. They looked a little sad for the first day, of course, but they've perked right up, which is really awesome. Excited about getting the front of our house finished. We also have this old wagon here, and this wagon was actually used on this property over 100 years ago, and it obviously needs some help. So we want to move it and redo it. Dan has some ideas to get it kind of usable again, and then I'll put some flower pots. I used to keep flower pots in here, but the bottom of it has rotted out so badly I can't do that anymore. But yeah, we really want to fix this one up too. Friends, it's about to start getting noisy around here as Dan just got the dirt bike going in the shop. So that is my cue. What happened? Everything okay in there? Yes, everything's fine. He's on his way. Oh, that didn't sound good. That's Dan's happy place. All right, friends, I hope that you all have a fantastic day. I'm really looking forward to sharing future videos with you, garden tour videos and just videos out in the garden, because it is just something that I enjoy so much. And I do believe that there's probably not a better time than right now to plant a garden. Just with food prices and all the things going on in the world, it not only gives a little bit of a sense of security, but it also is just something that can be quite soul nourishing and peaceful. And we could all use a little bit of peace. I hope that you all have a fantastic day, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye, everybody.